If you're excited about investing in real estate but your partner isn't on board yet, this episode is for you. I'm sitting down with my wife, Rae, to share our journey from her initial skepticism to becoming a believer in real estate investing. In this conversation, we're talking honestly about the doubts, the learning curve, the wins, and the challenges, and what it actually took for real estate to start making sense. This is the Ownership Collective, a podcast and community for first-time homebuyers and first-time investors who want to build wealth through real estate without doing it alone. My name is Rae Pais. I'm an investor and a real estate agent. And I started this podcast because I realized something early on. Building wealth through real estate can feel lonely, especially when you're just getting started. I'm only a few steps ahead of the people listening, and instead of figuring this out in isolation, I wanted to create a space where we can learn and grow together. Let's dive in.
Here we are.
You're the best.
Thanks.
Now that we finally settled down, we're able to get in the rhythm of having a conversation, we're able to start our podcast.
Here we are.
Thank you for being my first guest.
Yes.
I'm honored that you said yes. And that I guess to start this podcast, the Ownership Collective, because I've been very passionate about real estate for a while, even before we were married together.
Yep.
And I think that I brought you into this journey without you even being a part of it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And it started back in 2019 when I already have bought my first property. And I've before we were together, I mean, I was listening to podcasts, reading books.
Mm-hmm.
I had somewhat of a drive for me to get started. And I did and get that first property in 2019. And then we got into our marriage with a learning experience of what real estate investing looked like. And the meaning of this podcast is to help people to think of real estate as like, hey, this is an opportunity that you and your family could get into real estate investing.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been a lot of learning for us.
Yeah.
And it has been a good experience for us to share with one another and now I want to put that into action. Is like, how can we relate this information to other people so they can learn and grow from, looking at what real estate looks like. So, we're going to have all these questions that, I went through, I thought about, and I wanted to ask you. You can just, answer as clearly and as genuinely as you want, and be open. And we're not going to agree 100% with everything. And I think that's just part of, learning, what it takes to learn about real estate investing. So, yeah. Are you ready for the questions? Because they're coming.
Yeah. I'm winging it, but yeah, I'm ready.
All righty. So, before you ever met me, do you have any idea or have you ever heard about real estate investing? And outside of real estate, do you have anything else that had to do with investing? So it could be stocks, right? Obviously with the, 401k, that's like at the standard, or maybe cryptocurrency or any of that stuff. Like what did it look like before we were together? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I didn't grow up with a huge understanding of investing. Not that wasn't important or that my family didn't do it, but I just don't remember talking about it a whole lot. We did a lot of wise money management with saving, giving, spending. And so there was a lot there, but I don't recall really having a good understanding of real estate investments. And we also, growing up, my dad is a pastor, so we lived in the church house. So we didn't own the house that we lived in. And so, I just think it was not something I was super exposed to. I think the conversations around investment were just, investing in a retirement fund, like a 401k or a 403cb, that kind of thing. And so I did that through my first job at a nonprofit, and always tried to match what the employer was giving. But when it came to real estate, I really didn't have a good understanding of how that worked and what the benefits of that investment were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of assumed it's like you buy a house, it's good, you're not paying rent to somebody, and you're building equity. And that was probably really the extent of what I knew about it.
Right. And I think just you now reflecting and going back in time, and you had heard about real estate investing in some way, like.
Yeah, I guess I probably wouldn't have called it real estate investing, but I had heard conversations about it.
Okay.
Had understood the idea of building equity in a home that you live in.
Right.
But as far as like owning a rental property or owning a lot of property, I don't really think I had any concept of that.
Right. And, I think everybody starts in different environments.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up around it either.
Yeah.
I didn't have any, information related from my parents about what investing looks like. Obviously for me, it was like, hey, I found a podcast. I started thinking, okay, I'm in my 20s, and it was in my late 20s, going to my 30s as well. It's like, okay, I'm thinking about investing. How do I invest?
Yeah.
And then I looked on Google, you start searching, real estate investing is one of the best ways. And, you start looking online. It's like a lot of people that are wealthy and they built investments through real estate. When you look online, what people are pretty much saying is like, usually the people that take time to invest in real estate, eventually they can become wealthy.
Yeah.
But it's like a long term of patience and enduring time.
Yeah.
It's not a get quick rich scheme.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So, I, personally, I knew that I needed to do it. So when I bought my first rental property, in that townhouse, I renovated it, I fixed it, and then I had somebody live with me, right? It was about 9 months.
Yeah.
And, pretty much that person, was helping me what I call house hack, where they're paying half of my mortgage, right? And they're helping me coverage those payments.
Yeah.
And just by doing that, I'm like, something clicked.
Yeah.
And it was building equity.
Yeah.
Right? It was building equity in the midst of it. So we got married in 2022. Right? 2021.
It's like, what? No.
So we got married in 2021.
Yeah.
And then you moved into the townhouse, with me at that point. And we lived there for about a year or so, right?
A little less than a year. Yeah.
A little less than a year. And you knew that I was really passionate about investing.
Yeah.
Okay. You knew that this is something that I wanted to continue to do long term. So to you, now that you look back, it's like, what were the biggest fears when that conversation was like, we're investing in real estate. This is scary. Like, what are things going to look like? Like, what are the risks that we're taking?
Yeah. Like before we got married or after we got married?
Well, even in the middle of it, as soon as we got married, and I'm like thinking like, hey, we want to turn this property into a rental property.
Yeah.
Like, what were like the fears that kicked in?
Yeah. I think probably a lot of fears, because I tend to, as you know, play things very safe, and just kind of go with the flow, status quo, invest in a Roth IRA, 401k, et cetera, as kind of like a retirement plan. And so I think the fears around the rental, number one, were just like, we hadn't done it before. And I think I could only hear like the worst case scenarios in my head of like, what if we can't find a renter and we're stuck with the mortgage payment for a couple of months? Right. Or what if we get a bad renter and that doesn't go well?
Yeah, that destroy the property, and that, cause a fire.
Yeah. So I think that was probably the biggest thing is like, it's an asset, but is it going to become a liability that we're going to have to deal with? And like, we're putting ourselves in a bad position to manage that. And then I think too, we just hadn't done it. And also in my love to play it safe, like I just didn't want to move 5 times. I just wanted to be somewhere and not keep hopping around with it. And so I think too, just not having a basis for it, anything you haven't done feels scary.
Right.
And so, yeah, that was a big thing.
Yeah. And, like, do you remember the preparation leading towards like getting ready for like renting?
Yeah.
You know, when we were going through it,
Yeah.
what were you thinking? And did the preparation help you become less nervous about it?
Yeah. Sorry, keep yawning. We have a baby, so the sleep catches up to me sometimes. Yeah, I think I was nervous. I felt like you were really ready to do it. Like you had been gearing up to do this since you bought the house. And then we got married in the middle of that. And so I was like adjusting to being married and living together. And then we were moving towards renting the house out. And so I think there definitely was some, like, I just felt a little discombobulated during that time. But the preparation did help. Like I remember vetting people that were going to rent from us. Mm-hmm. Like we made a Google form that kind of helped us kind of weed out some potential renters. Like we had the credit score requirement. Yeah. We ran a credit report, and then I think you found, was it Avail?
Yeah. It's a software, to manage the rental property.
Yeah. I think just kind of through that process, seeing you had a better professional idea of what was happening. I was like, I have no clue how to rent out a house, but I think the steps you were taking, it felt very streamlined and very professional, very legitimate. Yeah. Whereas I think that was maybe one of my fears, is this is not going to be legitimate. Right. I remember like there was one lady that came to look at the house. She was so nice, but then we ran her credit report and it was awful. Yeah. Like, it was just awful. And you went back and told her like, sorry, like we can't rent
that question we had on the Google form. What did it say? You remember what it said?
Yeah, it was like to rent the house, we require, I don't remember what it was, but we required this credit score. Yeah. Are you able to meet this requirement? And she had marked yes. But I mean, it came back and it was atrocious. Like it wasn't just like borderline. Like it was bad.
And they had to pay for that fee, for we can run the credit check. Yeah. And we made that disclosure to them as like, hey, before you actually, pay this, to run your credit, are you sure? Have you checked your credit to see if it meets, a requirement?
Yeah. And so I think it made me feel better though to see like you put those safeguards in place, you knew what you were doing. And then you also went back to that lady and you're so kind, but just like, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to do this. And so I think that negative experience like helped me like kind of trust that a little bit more. Yeah. So.
No, that's good. It was definitely a fun learning experience during that period of time. Yeah. I still remember the last day when we were there, I was just trying to get everything perfectly ready for the new renters that were going to move in. And I wanted everything, to be neat and perfect. And, for me, I'm like, I want to provide one of the best experiences for like these people that are going to live in a new home. And, we did an amazing job at like renovating the house. Yeah.
Like did that. I mean, I didn't.
I know. But still, there was like, you lived in it. So was mine's is yours, So I look at it in that perspective. And, that house was completely renovated. Yeah. Paint, floors, kitchen. The only thing that, wasn't renovated was the bathrooms and all that, but everything else was renovated. So I just wanted it to be quality.
Which, as your strength, you do a really good job of presentation and making sure things are quality. Like you don't ever just have to do something. Yeah. But I also remember that day was incredibly stressful for me because you were being perfectionist. I had asked you like, hey, I'm going to clean. So let me know when you're done that I'm going to go in there and clean this room. I'm already going to touch it again. But you kept coming back to the rooms that I had cleaned to like, oh, let me do this one little thing. And that was a very trying day for our marriage. And I remember we got done at the end of the day and you were like, I need to clean and polish the garage floor.
Out of all things, right?
All things. And I was like,
it was pretty bad though, because it did have oil stains. So to me, that was like, this doesn't look nice at all. But I know. But most people won't care.
Nobody cares about the garage floor.
Most people won't care. Yeah.
Oh, and there was also, you looked at me and you were like, I think we need to clean the front door. And I was like, no, I'm tired of you following me around and undoing all the progress that I have made. So we talk about that now. I feel the stress coming back when I think about that. And you laugh about it.
Yeah, but obviously that was just something that, we can look back and we were like, okay, we don't need to go to that extremity of preparation. You know, it was an overkill for me, you know, to do it that way.
But to be fair, I mean, I still think we should have done that differently, but more systematically. However, you had worked really hard on the house, and that was the culmination of a lot of work you had done and learning. And you purchased the property, you flipped the property, and you finally had a really good renter. And I get, you know, you wanted to do it well. And again, we just needed to learn how to work together in that scenario with that. So, no,
that's good. That's good. So now we're in 2026, is a new year.
Yes.
And, you know, we see our finances, you know, pretty much monthly. We're looking at how our finances are. And, you know, we see how the property is generating, you know, cash flow, you know, like our mortgage payments with the HOAs about $1,200, and we're renting it out for $1,900, right? Like you've seen that that is originating some income. But like now we you know, we moved out in 2022, now we're in 2026. When did it like click for you, like, oh, now I can see how real estate investing is working for us? Because, you know, some people, you know, will look at the stocks and it's like, sometimes you can get like the stocks can go up and you can make a lot of money, but like with real estate, it's like every year, little by little is compounding, little by little. Like, when did it click for you that it's like, oh, real estate is like a good investment? Like, that makes sense.
I think, can I give a precursor to that question? When you said that, it made me think of another fear that I had. And that was, we had good equity on that rental property.
Right.
I think I felt like, well, if we just sold it when we moved to a house that we want to be in, like we could get a better house. If we sold the property and use that towards a new house. But instead what we were doing was like tapping into our savings for a down payment. And so maybe like we couldn't get as good of a house.
Yeah, that's good.
If we would have sold that.
Right.
And so I think it depleted our savings some to get into a new house and keep the townhouse.
Right.
And I didn't know, like, are we going to be able to recover from that, et cetera. I mean, we still tried to follow the principles of keeping like a 6-month emergency fund. Like we didn't just like use all our money, but it was still kind of like nerve wracking for me in that.
And to be, you know, they bring that up though, they have the AC unit that we had to replace like
really soon
right after. But obviously, you know, thank God that we really had our savings that we can use it towards that. But as you know, maybe like a year or two that we recovered all that with the cash flow of the property.
So I guess that came to my mind because you're asking when did I start seeing the benefits of it? I feel like probably within that first year, the fear of bad renters alleviated because we have great renters. We've had the same renters since we moved out. So this is year 3, year 4.
Yeah, that's where you got to take care of our renters.
And so I think that alleviated. They were taking good care of the property. You have built-in kind of checks to make sure they're doing okay, to make sure the property is being well taken care of. And they seemed like they were settling in. So I didn't have this fear of like, okay, we're going to be months without being able to pay for it.
And we didn't bring this renters at an astronomical rent, according to the market. We actually kept it at a reasonable price. So they were like, oh, this is a win for them.
Right.
But at the same time, a win for us.
So, I mean, I think this is normal. I think, building trust in you, just like through that rental process, seeing how we were going to do it in a methodical and a safe way. I think just seeing how you care for the renters, make sure they're taken care of, make sure that you're very quick to respond. You don't leave them with a repair undone for weeks on end. Like you make sure that you do it correctly. And seeing that has paid off with like them taking care of our property really well.
Right.
I think that helped alleviate some fears, but I just had to see it in action. It's like you hadn't done it before. You had a lot of preparation for it and knew you were going to do that, but I didn't see all that behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, I've like, to me, I already read books. I'd read like maybe 5 books about real estate and how to manage rental properties. Like I read books about that, looked at blogs and podcasts. So like, to me, I was so more confident
Yeah.
Because I already had that information. For you, it was like you leaning with the information that I've learned.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're trusting me as your husband to lead well in that.
Yeah.
But you don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know, you know. So
we were newly married. We were newly married
too. So that was another big thing to, you know, to look at, right?
Yeah. And that was a huge thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it just took time and trust. And I think too, sometimes like you see people on social media and it just feels like, oh, it's this get rich quick scheme, or, oh, I see people are doing well in real estate. Like maybe I'll do that. And not necessarily that I thought you were just trying to be flippant with the wind, but you know, I didn't know all the preparation. I mean, when we weren't married, we weren't living together. I didn't see what you were doing late at night. You know, you could tell me and stuff, but like, I was having to differentiate between, okay, this is like a serious, you've put a lot of effort into this, and like, oh, this is some kind of pipe dream of like, I just want to make a lot of money. And like, this feels like a, you know, an easy way to get into that.
There's also the heart posture. Like you knew my heart posture. Like, you know, this is not about, you know, building wealth just to build wealth for ourselves, but it's being good stewards of what God has given us. Like I had that heart posture. It's like we're using it, you know, for God's purposes, because we don't know what we're going to do with it, with this property in the future. You know, for all we know, we maybe donate it. Maybe we leave it for our baby girl, you know, and our kids and our children, you know, and, you know, that's the way that I'm looking at it, you know, and that, and those sides of that, what God calls us to do is to be good stewards of what he's given us.
Yeah. That, and I had to kind of learn that. I remember, I think when we were still dating, you had me read the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
with Robert Kiyosaki,
that started to open my eyes between a liability and an asset. And like, what does this look like? It just, I think it felt so distant that like I could be a part of that. Cause I don't have like an entrepreneurial spirit about me, or like, that's just not been something that I have really tapped into until we've been together.
Right.
And so,
you know, you bring that up about Robert Kiyosaki, that book, you know, I think in society, you know, there is a sense of like where people just want to spend money instead of investing it towards the future, and not just your future, your children's future. And I've always, you know, been more of being a minimalist, like not spend on material stuff. And, you know, when I read that book, I'm like, oh, let me put my money to work for us. I mean, putting it into an asset, not a liability. You know,
like I think you would eat one meal a day of rice only, just so you could put that money in an investment. And that's not me. But,
and I've gotten better. I'm not. I used to be, but not at that level. Not at that level.
You've realized the importance of a balance.
Yes, there's a balance, and I think you've been able to help me with that.
Because I'm not a frivolous spender. Like I don't go and buy a lot of things. But, you know, I don't feel like, you know, I'm not going to just eat beans every meal so that we can put every last dime. Like, I think we make enough money that we don't have to have socks with the holes in them.
100%.
But you would wear the holy socks just so we could put that $3 in a property.
Only in summertime.
In the property. So, you're welcome.
Yes, you're right.
Or you would wear a hoodie with a stain on it. Even though we could buy you a hoodie so you could put that money into the rental property.
So. I'll sacrifice if needed in some areas. But that's good.
There you go.
That's good. But now I want to take the conversation into not just the good of real estate, because we've also experienced, in my opinion, bad situations about real estate. And, you know, what I'm leaning towards is to this house that we're in right now. Because when we bought this house, you know, we bought it in a situation where we needed to make a quick decision, right? And this house was owned by OfferPad, which is an iBuyer. They buy houses at bulks, you know, and throughout, you know, the whole nation. And what they do like a quick lipstick job. They make it look nice and just sell it, right? And when we got into this house, the house is, you know, fairly older house. It's built 2001. So it was in good conditions overall. But I kind of knew that when we were looking to buy, well, obviously we needed to make a quick decision to move, and also thinking of I would say, somewhat the location. I didn't think it was like the best location because we were living in High Point, and we live in Archdale. And location-wise, I thought High Point was a little better just because it's more of city. That was another thing that I was looking at.
That's the first time you've told me that.
Yeah, I was also thinking of that, but now, but also more of obviously of like, like the things that might come up as we buy an old house.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I would say that this house has cost us a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And when I think of like buying our own home, yeah, you could build equity. But if you get into an older house, you're not really building equity because every year since we've been in this house, we put in a ton of money. And, we're close to, probably about $30,000 that we in the span of 4 years that we put into the house, into fixing it because things came up, mm-hmm. the crawl space, we needed a vapor barrier, we needed a deck. We needed to fix, some other things, some pump, but the humidifier, there's been a constant things that have happened over and over and over again as we've, owned this house. But asking you, mm-hmm. Now that we've had this experience with this house, how do you perceive this side of like real estate? Like we've owned our own home. Mm-hmm. Do you think it was a good financial decision to move into this house now, looking back, since we bought it back in 2022? How do you see that?
I think this is where we differ. Like, I don't feel like you're right. Like, we've had to put a lot of money into this house, but to me, it seems like normal for a house like this. Like, it's 25 years old. And so to me, like, when you own a house, that's part of real estate, is that things are going to come up,
right?
And that you're going to have to make repairs. And a lot of the things that we've done, we knew when we were moving in. Like, we knew the deck was going to have to be replaced at some point. We knew there was some mold in the crawl space, little things like that. And so I guess I come a bit more gracious towards us in that, because I also think at the time, it was 2022, the housing market was crazy. Like, we had secured a contract on another house that we were getting a really good deal on.
Right.
And about
nice location too.
Yeah, it was a great location in Jamestown. And like 2 or 3 weeks before we were supposed to close, the sellers backed out. Mm-hmm. But at that time, we had to scramble because we already had the townhouse rented out.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have a choice but to quickly find somewhere to live.
Right.
And I look back on that and I think I felt like, oh, we have to find a house,
Right.
Whereas we could have just moved into an apartment and not had so much stress. But the interest rates were rising. Mm-hmm. And I think at that time we kind of thought, oh, we're going to move somewhere that we're going to be for a long time. And so to me, I think at that point it felt like, well, if we're going to be here for a long time, there's the opportunity to build equity. We do need to make some repairs, but that we would be here longer than I think we're actually going to end up being here.
Yeah.
Because we've learned, I learned, oh, this kitchen felt so big, but it's really not that big at all. There's an illusion of a lot of space when there's not.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot we learned there too. So to me, it's been normal home ownership, but I also think your goal has clarified over the last few years, and I've clarified our goals, like as we've kind of grown together.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, this is definitely not going to be our long-term home. Like, there's some key things that we need to be different.
Yeah.
And I think if we had that mindset at that point, this is not going to be long-term, or like pressured it to be long-term, we would have made a different decision.
Yeah.
But I just think we were doing the best we could at that time. I mean, houses were going quick too. Like,
they were going
people were buying houses
quick
before they toured the house, And so I think I felt that pressure of like, we have nowhere to go. We have to get out of our house. You were having knee surgery.
I was having a knee surgery in that time.
It was a really insane time.
It was just a lot of pressure.
It was so
and that's also a thing to think of. To like people, it's like, well, what pressure are you in?
Yeah.
Because if we wouldn't have been on that pressure, we
Yeah.
probably would not have landed here.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was a huge lesson.
Yeah.
We had not even been married a year.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of pressure. So while I'm glad that we have the townhouse rented out,
Yeah.
I think we got through it. It was a good challenge. We can reflect back and like thank the Lord for how it's turned out.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't try to make a decision under that much pressure.
Yeah.
Again,
That's a good point.
We didn't have choice,
Yeah.
but I think we learned, you know.
Yeah. And that's a good lesson for people to know that when you're under pressure,
Yeah.
you're going to make a lot of emotional decisions, right?
Yeah.
You might make more emotional decisions, and they're going to not be the best decisions, but it's also perspective, because now that you said that you're right, like now we can reflect back and like, hey, these are the things that we've learned for the past 4 years that we've been living here, and we share this information so people don't make the same mistakes, right? So I think in a way, it is beneficial in the sense of like, we're sharing this so people learn that when you are going to buy a property, you know, it's for your family or it's more an investment, don't feel under pressure. Obviously, I think the best thing to do is like, know your numbers, know exactly what you want, where you want it, and have your finances right, and knowing that by making those simple choices, is more than likely going to be the right decision.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up to make a good decision.
Right.
Yeah, because I remember you felt like this was a point we had to grow and trust.
Yeah.
Like you felt like we were overpaying for this house, and I was feeling, I think probably the more female instinct of like, we don't have a choice. Like, we need a house. We have to get in it.
Right.
And I was like, I think you kind of bowed to my pressure of like, we need to buy a house, even though you felt like we were overpaying. And then like a couple weeks later, another house in our neighborhood sold for like $15,000 less. And I remember feeling like, I think in that pressure, I let my anxiety about it get the best of me.
Yeah. And I understood at that point, I'm like, I'd rather you have the peace of mind. And my mind was like, I'd rather you have the peace of mind. So let's just move. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is that we realize that as long as we have one another, we'll figure things out. You know, we have God, and He's going to give us clarity and guidance as we move forward, you know, with these choices that we got to make.
Yeah, for sure.
Know? Yeah. So that's good. I appreciate you just being honest about it. You know, even though we have like different thoughts and perspectives of like this house.
You have disliked this house far more than I have disliked this house. But I think it's because with your goals and entrepreneurial goals, it has been a nuisance to you to have to deal with some of these things. And I don't think maybe we realized or considered or talked about how much time some of that would take. Yeah. But,
that's good. That's a good example. Now, we're at a point in 2026, you know, we've, last year in October, you know, obviously I'm a licensed realtor. I've been a broker for, you know, a couple of years, and I became fully licensed this year. And I want to also like think about like, okay, I want to get the business rolling. I want to make this real estate career like long-term and make it full-time, you know, going forward. And in October of last year, I went out for a long walk. Okay, I went out for a long walk, and my mind is like, okay, how can we make a wise decision with the house that we're in right now, but also looking at opportunities that are out there. So I went for a walk, and my mind just clicked and like, oh, this could be a good idea of buying a new construction home. And I started researching, and you were gone. I don't know what you were doing that day, but I was just like researching new construction homes. And I was looking at the math of like, this is the equity that we have in our house. How can we roll this equity into buying a new construction home? And will that help us financially by lowering down our mortgage payments? So I was bouncing that idea. I'm like, you know, I was even going into like ChatGPT to play, you know, give me some roles, and Googling as like some roles of like, the aspect of location. And I literally took maybe like 3 hours for me to do this information. I was like, I got to bring it up to you to see what you think. And that same day you arrived home, and it was probably a Saturday, and I literally just gave you this idea, okay? And we literally, like that same day, we went to look at some new construction homes. Yeah. So I brought that up to you. And now that we know what it's going to look like more or less strategically, do you think it makes sense for us to move it to a new construction? And how are we going to use this property that we're looking to buy, right? In what ways, in how many years? You know, like, how do you see that play out right now?
Yeah. Well, I think it's something you had been wanting to move.
Yeah.
Because again, this house is a nuisance to you.
Yeah.
But as we kind of talked about it, like, we just weren't, I wasn't opposed to moving, but to me, it just needed to make sense. Like, we're either going to get more space or it's going to be a significantly lower payment. Because again, I just don't want to move a ton. Yeah. You know, I'm not really in that. We have a young child. Like, that's just not something I'm willing to do right now.
Yeah.
And so just when we talked about it before, it didn't feel right. But just the day that you brought that up, I don't know, I just felt like God gave me a lot of peace about it. Of like, we can at least just explore and see what options there be. Like, it may not pan out, but maybe it will. We could at least get information.
Yeah.
And so now, I mean, it definitely feels, at least the door is open to pursue it. I feel like I'm not going to feel confident that we're doing it until like we've closed, because we've had a couple of hiccups. But I think our goal is more aligned now. Like, we've been married 4.5 years. We've talked about a lot more. I've been able to see how this process plays out. And so I think we're not going into this putting the pressure of like, this has to be our forever home, but it's also going to be a home we can stay in for a while. Yeah. And it gives
it's a great location.
Yeah. Like, it's something that we could easily rent out. Yeah. So I think we can see it strategically from that component. It gives us an extra bedroom. The financial part kind of squares away. And so, I think us working together over the last few years with it helps me to see, you know, from a bigger standpoint, what that could look like and how that could benefit us.
Right. Yeah. And do you, now that you're like, because it, you know, I'm looking at it as like, okay, so we're moving, we know that the next home, you know, we're also looking at it in that sense of like, we know that the next home that we're going to move into is not going to be our long-term, but we're also looking at it in a sense of like, it's wise financially, and 3, maybe 4 years. Yeah. We know that if we're going to decide to move, right, we could turn it into a rental because we want to keep rentals. Right. That's you know, one of our goals. So we want to keep rentals, and this property is not a good rental property. Yeah. It would be a more difficult one. Right. It's more difficult. Well, you could pull it off, but you know, it's a lot more difficult. Yeah.
Well, and I think we had just had the conversation of this house we're in now, we're going to outgrow it quickly. Like, if we have more kids, Lord willing, like, we're not going to last here very long. And so it's easier, number one, to move with 1 kid versus 2 kids. Right. But also, you know, if the opportunity presents itself in a way that's going to serve our family, you know, that is going to help us last a bit longer.
So we're going to from a 3-bedroom to a 4-bedroom, and our mortgage is going to be cheaper because we're rolling the equity from this home into the newer home. Yeah. So we're going to be saving a few, you know, a couple $100, you know, to, you know, just move into a new construction home. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think there will be less yard maintenance, which that is something we did not anticipate in this house.
True. That is true.
But I mean, I think it's going to be, hopefully, you know, if the Lord opens the door for this path to continue, will be a great blessing to our family. Yeah. With that too.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. It's going to be exciting, you know, so it's going to take some patience and some time and some preparation, but I think we are at a good spot of like knowing that, okay, we have a structure. You know, and understanding that not everything's going to go according to plan 100%. It never does.
It's already not going.
It never does. Yeah, it never does.
Yeah, like, we already tried to sell this house and just pulled it off the market because we just weren't getting enough bites during the Christmas season.
Right. It was just a season, you know, now we're going to put it back on the market after Super Bowl, out of Super Bowl weekend, which my broker had told me is like, hey, this is a good time. You know, people are usually looking, you know, forward to move because springtime and all that. So I was like, okay. Yeah. So that would be a good time.
But I also think I'm on board with it because, like, the townhouse, we've had it for this long as a rental. Yeah. And I look back and it's cost us some money, but really it's cost us very little because you made a really good choice on the location and the type of property that it is. You don't have to worry about the yard maintenance. And so literally
amenities, that was a good thing too.
Yeah, it has pool. Like it's literally just sitting over there and they're paying our mortgage. We're cash flowing off of it. I think we had to buy like an AC unit.
Yeah.
But like it's not costing us a dime right now for the most part. You know, every once in a while.
But it has helped us. It has helped us. How has the townhouse helped us? Like, you know, with
oh yeah, I mean, you were able to use that cash flow. Like we try not to touch it just so that we have a pool to repair the townhouse if we need to. But, you know, you've pulled a little bit out to like pay somebody to do our yard, to buy you more time to work on business stuff.
More time with you and the family.
More time with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's helped us a lot.
Yeah.
It's a huge blessing. It's got a low interest rate on it. And so God's really.
Yeah. But that's only for new construction homes.
Yeah, but the townhouse has.
Oh yeah, well the townhouse.
You bought
in
for
sure.
And it was right in COVID. It's like a 3.8.
3.8.
I guess
7.
Yeah. No. The townhouse.
The townhouse, it's a 3.87.
Oh, I thought it was in the 2s.
No, I know. I wish.
Yeah, never.
I wish I would have refined that.
It's pretty low.
It's still pretty low.
Yeah.
Compared, we're probably not going to see those interest rates again. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. No, that was good. I feel that this is good information, so people like can see like there's different ways of like thinking strategically of how to like move your money around.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to have it all in one home, right? Yeah. And who knows, maybe when we sell this house, we're definitely going to put more than 20%. So it's going to help with you know, the payments of the newer house. And also we might have a little extra cash that we can put into our savings and put into an investment of Roth IRA, you know, for you, and add that in some other areas, right? So
I think that was another thing you did that helped me is, you know, I felt a lot safer kind of with the traditional investments for retirement, because that's what I was familiar with and taught about. That we opened up a Roth IRA for me is kind of like diversifying our investments. Yeah. And so that's kind of helped me feel a little bit better too.
Yeah, that's good. So, you know, we've given, you know, a lot of like wide view in the sense of like how things have worked for us. And now I want to ask a question that can be relatable to other people that have not started into like buying properties or thinking about real estate investing. And there's one person in that couple that is really motivated to start getting into that.
Yeah.
And now that you look back, what will you tell somebody, you know, a partner or a spouse that is getting this information from like their you know, their partner, like, hey, we want to get into investing, real estate investing.
Yeah.
Like, what wisdom will you give them so that it makes them feel like comfortable as they start thinking of that, you know, moving forward for their family?
I mean, I think it's a incredible avenue to build wealth, to provide financial freedom. Like, we're obviously working on that. But I mean, honestly, I think the biggest thing that came down to was, on the whole, your character is trustworthy, right? Like, and I know, number one, like, you pursue the Lord and you want to honor the Lord in everything that you do. Right. I know that that same thing that really stressed me out when we left the townhouse, about how perfectionistic you were. Yeah. That character in you, like, you're going to do things well. Like, you're not going to flippantly do things. Right. So I think if you trust your partner in that direction and you know that they're willing to put in the time and the effort, right, then even if it feels risky or scary to you, that you can trust that they're going to do it well. I mean, honestly, if you have a more flippant partner, I don't know what wisdom I got for you there, because that would still freak me out. But I do think it's a really worthwhile place to invest if you're willing to put in the time. And I think it can be an incredible blessing to your family if you're willing to kind of play the long game. Because, I mean, you've definitely had to play the long game with this. Like, you work a full-time job. You know, we're not like financially just bringing in tons of money every month where we just can throw it at all these investments. We're just having to make, it's not that we have a lot of money. It's just that we try to make it choices.
And we make it work for us.
Right? Like, we don't go out to eat a lot. Like, we try to be really savvy with our money so that we can take extra and put it towards an investment. Right. So, you know, I think it's possible, like, even if you have just a little bit left over, like, it's possible to build up to that. But a willing spirit, a trustworthy partner, I think it's a great thing to pursue if you can.
Right. So, and I just to just to cap it off in the sense of like, do you think investing should be for everybody? It doesn't matter, real estate, 401k, like, should people be looking towards like investing, just in general? You think everybody should be doing it, or no, if you don't want to, you shouldn't? Like, what do you think about that?
I think that it's a wise thing to do. Like, you have to plan for your future.
Right.
You don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck. You don't want to be over living your paycheck, right? And so I think the investment provides a lot of security, and it's good stewardship of the things that we're given. You know, I think about how like God's blessed us in certain ways, and like it's up to us to like use that to make much of it, whether that's, finances or time or talent.
And not looking at it as like a prosperity, gospel thing,
I don't feel like it's like, oh, if I just do these things and I act well, God's going to bless us. Like, we don't know what God's going to do like with this, but I do think it's our responsibility to use well what we've been given.
Right.
And I think a big thing too is like when you talk about it from the beginning, like, I just want to be generous. Like, I want to be able to have this freedom so that I can bless other people.
Give back to people. Give them opportunities to bless others as God has blessed us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do think everybody should be investing. I think it's just part of being responsible and an adult. But I think, it doesn't, some people, real estate's not going to be for them.
Right.
And
it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
But in some ways, like, money is an incredible tool, and it's something we can make work for us. And if we understand that, it can really work in great ways for us and enable us to, have freedom and do things we want to do. So.
And, to just put the cherry on the top, this is biblical. So, I actually went online in the sense of like, okay, there is, when I'm thinking of opportunities, and I research things that it comes to investing, like, you really have to take time to like dig in and learn about like how things work. And thinking of like, I have many times and seasons where like I really put time and effort to just educating myself and going deep online, researching and understanding of like what it takes. It's a lot of time and effort. But I think me, personally, as a man and as a leader, and I want to lead by example to others, I think the most important to do is to lean to God's word biblically. Right. And I wanted to share this in Proverbs 13, verse 22, where it says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. And when I look at that verse, I'm like, God is calling us to bless, the others that comes after us. And it's talking about children, but it's really also talking about just people that are around us. How can we bless others for God's kingdom? That's the way that I'm looking at it in that perspective. That is the best investment, into God's kingdom. And that's what we use in our finances for, what he's blessed us with.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense? So this was fun. This was great. I think we did great, baby. You did amazing.
We did it.
You did great. We got through it. You did good. Thank you so much for the blessing that you are to me. I couldn't do any of this without you, and we have a long journey. And thank you for just supporting me into like doing this podcast and, what is going to, be ahead. We don't know what it's going to look like, but I know you supporting me each step on the way. So thank you, baby. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your patience with me as I've had to learn how this works.
Yeah, you did great, baby.
You've been patient. I think that for you, like, you've been so patient with me and through all my anxiousness about it. And just sought to educate me where I struggled and just wait for me to kind of catch up. So,
and we're going to continue to do it. It's not going to be the end. We're still going to be seasons that we're going to continue to, bounce ideas, learn from each other, and think strategically together, in this, moving forward.
Yeah. I feel much more excited about being an entrepreneur now. I'm like, what business can I start? Not really, though. So.
Yeah. All righty, baby. You're the best.
You're the best.
Give me a kiss. Love you.
Love you too. I feel like that really pushed me to have a kiss on camera. So, all right, are we good?
Done. If you stuck around till the end, thank you. I genuinely hope that you got some value that will help you in your real estate journey. Please leave some feedback below, what you liked, what you didn't, and what you'd like to see in future videos. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, I am launching a community for the Ownership Collective, and I want it to be different. Most communities fall into two categories: free ones with no real depth or accountability, and the paid ones that are too expensive for people that are just starting out. I'm creating something right in between. This community will be free, but I'm being really selective about who joins. Why? Because I want people who are serious action takers. Here's how it works. We'll have a quick one-on-one call, less than 15 minutes, where I'll ask you some questions just to make sure that you're ready to take action. Now, for the first quarter of 2026, I'm only accepting 10 members. What you get is real accountability, weekly group calls to brainstorm and problem solve together, and the resources you need to become an owner. That's the whole point of the Ownership Collective. None of us cross the finish line alone. You have support every single step of the way. If you're interested, head to the description below and book your one-on-one call. Looking forward to meeting you, and I'll see you in the next video.